Where do I start? You're going down a very dangerous road.
And we ain't been down dangerous roads before. But that's the risk you take. Me, I take
Yeah, but
that
you're
risk.
not where I am. I give to charities, I pay my taxes.
Well, I'm excited to talk about your film. I can imagine plenty of filmmakers have dreamed about directing Robert De Niro in a mafia film. You got to direct two Robert De Niros in a mafia film. I'd love to hear a little bit about the genesis of the project and how you got De Niro involved in it.
The script had been, I don't know if you say the script, the idea had been around for years and years, going back, I believe, into the 70s, if that's possible. I could be wrong. But anyway, I I got involved when Nick Pileggi was working on it. And, then there was COVID and it got lost and then it was delayed and we didn't do anything. And there's all of that. And then it began to take shape. And the key, in a sense, was when originally the script, or I should say the intention, was to tell the Frank Costello story. And then somehow we ended up, well, what about Vito? They were best friends as kids and whatever. And then somehow that began to merge, that this childhood friendship and the growing up together and the coming apart of it all. And then that became, the design of the film. And Irwin Winkler, the producer, who had been involved for years, read it and got excited. He said, what about, I remember this on a phone call, he said, what about if Bob plays Vito and Frank? And there was that moment of, I don't know. And then I said, Irwin, that might be an interesting idea. I mean, we're talking about one of the great actors in cinema history. And this is a real challenge. And let's see what Bob has to say. And we sent it, and then Bob responded in kind. He liked the idea and thought it was valid. And that's how it all happened.
You want to be like them? Come on, you ain't like them. They own this country. They're bigger gangsters than we ever could be. All of a sudden you want to be half in, half out, half a racketeer. You can't have it both ways. You're either in or you're out.
Amazing. I mean, you talk about that moment where the idea came into fruition, and I think it's just it works so perfectly. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you worked directing those scenes where it was Bob talking to Bob. How was that, for you as a director and him as an actor?
It was fascinating. And I'll say this in terms of Bob. He said, you know what, here's one thing I need to do. We can't have like a script supervisor reading the lines off camera. It's not going to feel right. And so I said, yeah, I can understand that. And then he said, look, you got one of the actors here, and I like him. And why don't I have him do the off camera? He'll do Vito off camera and do Frank off camera when we do those scenes. And I can understand, as an actor, you want another actor really working with you, not just somebody reading the lines. And so those scenes were done in that fashion. So he was really working with someone, and that it was important so that, how those moments would have as much credibility as possible and not seem mechanical in any way.
Of course. And you kind of talked about the relationship between Frank and Vito being, I guess, the key to the film and understanding, the wider political and I guess social context. But I think it's such a nice, and I think all the best kind of mafia films, and I guess all the best films in general, do have this human core. I wonder why the kind of humanity of it all was so important to you.
Well, because then I think you want to relate. One of the things you want to do, I don't care what you're doing, good guy, bad guy, whatever it is, with your characters, you want to have an investment in them. So you have to understand them, whether you agree or you don't agree with what they're doing. you might go, oh God, I wish that person wouldn't do it. Oh, she shouldn't have said that. Whatever. You want to be inside of it, and you want to find the best way to present that, and you want to present it in a way that is seemingly unpredictable, as we are when we talk to one another. It's like, oh, we went sideways for a minute. Oh, we're back here. Oh, look, what I mean? As opposed to, this is exactly the way you say it. And so you want to bring that, the humanistic aspect into whatever you're doing as much as possible, so that we can be really connected and engaged. And whether we find the character likable or despicable, we have to be invested in that. And so that's the only way I know how to work.
You must have seen who shot you.
The man took a shot at his own boss.
We just grew up together. Frank sometimes forgets where he comes from.
You're more fly off the handle.
You make sure he's dead. Bang, 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 bang.
I think it's interesting though, because obviously there's such a human side to the film, but then I found that some of it felt like it was directed with sort of a documentarian sensibility, with all the talking head moments and the bits of archival stuff that just really helped it, couch the film in this real and recent history. I'm curious to hear about what that was like for you and kind of why you made those decisions. I thought they were really interesting.
Well, thank you. I think we wanted to give an understanding of the time, and what the cause and effect was. And I think so. Therefore, certain archival things that you can add to it, I thought gave it, a little tweak of, this is what it's really like. Look what happens here. Look how Vito can go off the cliff in a sense of, killings, etc. See that. He wasn't part of there at the time. He would send somebody out to do all of these terrible deeds. But you want to be able to give a bit of a mosaic of cause and effect.
What happens now?
I'm going to retire. I need to find a way to take it all down.
It's just you and me. We are our own family.
He's up to something.
I'm telling you, he's not going to try anything.
Just before we finish, as I said, we're really excited to bring the Alto Knights to our screens. And I'd love to just hear in your own words why it's so important to see films like this and films in general in a movie theater.
Why to see it in a movie theater?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do better than a bunch of people watching a film together. And I'll just tell you this one quick story. When I was a kid, I was in Atlantic City and I went to see Psycho. And it had to be about 1,500 people at this theater. And we're watching it. And when the shower scene happened, the screaming and that went on. It lasted for 10 minutes. It took 10 minutes to settle the theater down. Now, you could watch that if you've never seen Psycho on television, and you'd watch that scene, you go, oh, and then you get on. But the idea you were there with all of these people, I mean, there was a woman sitting next to me, and she grabbed my arm when it scared me, and it was a collective experience, and it was great to have. And I miss that in a way that, if you're watching it on television, which is fine in a way, I mean, they're going to see it, but it's not the same experience as a large group of people watching a film together. That, to me, is the best. And from my childhood, I remember some of those movies and the overreaction, the collective reaction of an audience, irreplaceable.
Absolutely. And that's what we're all about. And we're so excited to screen your film. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time today. It was so great to chat.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed talking to you.
Ooh, Lord, ain't my trouble so hard.
Thank you for watching Picture House Cinema's unique video content. Hit the subscribe button to be kept up to date with our movie news, cast and crew interviews, highlights, trailers, and lots more.